Tomorrow is your test on volume. You need to have all of the volume formulas memorized. The front page of your quiz is going to look just like this, with the volume boxes left blank. Right? The area formulas will be there for you. You will need them to solve the problems on the back, but you do not need to memorize them. So the area formulas that are here will be there, but the volume formulas will be missing. So you will need to memorize the volume formulas and fill those in for all of them, including at the bottom where it's just a general prism and a general pyramid. You need to know the volume of those also.
You have to write the words.
You have to write the words. Oh, no, you don't have to write like all the like subscript stuff there.
Now, can we get that corrected again?
Yes. So like the last time, after you fill in your chart, if you want to bring it on up to me, I will correct anything that's wrong with it. So you have the correct formulas going into the backside where you solve problems. So yeah, for the prism and pyramid, just the actual formula. You don't need to write all that. You will need to. That's just like a note for how to solve the problems. You don't need to actually write that. Just the formula itself of area of base times height, or a third area of base times height. So then the very back page of your packet is the review, and we'll begin there. Yeah?
On the test, do we actually have to write out area of base, or could you say BA?
You could just do like a capital A for area, or a capital B for base, or something would be fine.
Capital or?
Capital. Otherwise a little one refers to just a side as a base, where we want a figure as a base. So it needs to be a capital.
Solid. Is it like
A rectangular solid is a rectangular prism or shoebox. Alright guys. So when we went through the review for the last quiz, I kind of talked about how I like to mark up the problems, and I still like to do that here. I find it especially more helpful on this one, because on this quiz there will often be questions that ask you to find more than one thing. And so I know for myself, if I don't mark it up, I'm probably going to forget to find one of the things that I'm supposed to find. So on this one we need to find volume of a rectangular solid, which is like a shoebox or a rectangular prism, with length of 7, width of 4, and height of 13, and there are units attached to those. So we want to make sure that we take note of that to include units in our answers, because that's a sad place to lose points. Volume of a rectangular prism. Volume formulas need to be memorized. Volume is length times width times height. So that is 7 times 4 times 13, which is 364. For our units, we're multiplying 7 centimeters by 4 centimeters by 13 centimeters. Centimeters, centimeters, centimeters. So that would be centimeters cubed. For number 12. Oops.
You mean number 2?
Yeah. Yes. Not making crazy jumps. I don't know what I'm talking about. Number 2. The volume and total area. So this is a problem where we need to do two things. Of a cube with edge of 4a. A cube is just a special case of that shoebox where all three of them are the same size. So I could think about the volume as being length times width times height and just multiply them all out, and that's fine to do. Or when we multiply the same thing 3 times, we can write it as a power of 3, or cubed. That's why it's called cubed, because it happens for a cube. So then 4 cubed is 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64, and a cubed. Total area, and these area formulas don't need to be memorized. They are provided on, they will be provided right on the front of the quiz, the same as they are on the chart at the front of your packet. Total area is finding the area of all of those squares that make up the cube. There are 6 of the squares, and we want to multiply their length times width.
But it only has like the lateral areas, like what you don't.
For a cube, it has the total area.
What is surface area?
Surface area is total area.
Oh.
So 4 squared is 16, and a squared, and then we multiply by that 6, you get 96a squared.
So you're saying that there will be the surface area and lateral area on the test for us?
For it, what's on that sheet will be on the test. So for a cube, both of those are provided.
We have to memorize what's on the sheet, right?
Volumes.
Only the
Volumes need to be memorized.
Sorry.
Everything under the area column will be printed on.
Square, just say the whole thing.
No, just the one.
Just the one side and for the other side can you go both?
What?
Okay, sorry, the rest of them, all these, the second side.
You need to know all
There's a
about
surface area.
Will this be right here?
Yes.
Is the square just like
It doesn't make sense.
96a squared?
Right, because b times a is a squared. The next one asks us to find the volume of a cone with a radius of 6 and a height of 9. Volume formulas need to be memorized. When it comes to a point, we're going to have a 1/3. Then as a general rule, volume is the area of the base. The base in this is a circle, so that is pi r squared times height to bring it into 3 dimensions. When it comes to a point, you've got 1/3, then area of the base, area of the circle is pi r squared times height, right? That's the general rule for any shape, okay? 1/3 when it comes to a point, area of base times height. Plug in what we need here. Radius of 6 and height of 9. You can type that right into the calculator, skipping over the pi. So 1/3 of 6 squared times 9, you can type that all in and just skip right over the pi, and it'll give you 108. But then don't forget your pi. I noticed that happened on the first time around for the quiz, that some people set it up right and then typed in the right stuff, but then the pi just kind of got lost in the process. So the pi needs to tag along to your answer.
Are you typing the 1/3?
1 divided by 3.
Or just divided by 3?
Gotcha.
Lateral area and total area of that same cone. So I don't need to draw a new picture, I can keep on using that same one. Lateral area does not need to be memorized. Pi r s, where s is the slant height. I do not know the slant height of this cone, but how can I find it?
Pythagorean theorem.
Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to do 6 squared plus 9 squared equals s squared. 36 plus 81, which gives 117, is s squared. That is not a perfect square. I'm going to suggest that if this happens to you tomorrow, that you just go to a decimal. Since we're going to need to use this square root for other things, it will be easier to calculate if we just take an approximation of that, which is about 10.8. Okay, it's not as precise, but if that happens to you, the calculations are easier to just work it with a decimal instead of the roots. So just take it to a decimal if that happens to you.
Do we just write it before this one?
1 decimal is good.
What if it's a really messy decimal?
1 decimal around is good.
If we make
Square roots are messy decimals.
If we make a mistake like 10.7, and we like follow the
Yes, I'll follow you
Or you
through.
could just
Yep.
hit second.
Even if you made a huge mistake here and you said it was like 21, or you didn't take the square root and you said it was 117 or something like that, I will follow you through. So if you have a problem where you need one answer and you build from that answer to find the next answer, if you get the first answer wrong, I'm going to deduct you there, but I'll follow you through and see did you do everything right after that, and then you'll be able to get the rest of your credit. So that is a reason why it's really important to show work. Because if you don't show work, then I won't know if you had done everything right after that. So make sure you show me what you're doing. So lateral area then is pi times radius, which is 6, and s, which we found is 10.8. So then on the calculator, do the 6 times 10.8, and that is 64.8, and the pi tags along. And this is definitely one of those problems where underlining or marking up my question as I read through it is really helpful to me because I feel like we've already done a lot in this problem, so I would really feel like I was done with it. But we're not because we were also asked to find total area. So total area as a general rule is lateral plus the area of the base or bases, and you need to know that. That's not printed on the formula sheet, so it won't be printed on the quiz. You need to know that as a general rule.
That's always,
Can we write it
That's always.
except for
You
square.
can write it on
Can
there,
you check it? You're right.
That always is except for square
except for the ones where it's already provided, except for a sphere and a cube.
and, okay.
Is the base like the bottom part of
The base is the bottom figure.
What's the question?
So the lateral area we already found is 64.8 pi. The area of the base is a circle, so area is pi r squared. So you can type that in the calculator except for the pi, so 64.8 plus 6 squared, and I get 100.8, and the pi tags along. Find the lateral area of a cylinder with a radius of 6 and a height of 8, and there's a unit on that, centimeters. Lateral area does not need to be memorized. 2 pi r h. This is the one where we talked about that it comes from kind of unrolling the cylinder, which turns it into a rectangle and gives circumference times height, but you don't need to have that memorized. So 2 pi, radius of 6 and height of 8. Type in the numbers except for the pi, gives 96, and let the pi tag along. Units, this is finding an area. Area is always square units, even in a 3D figure, because area is still a flat thing. Okay, just putting wrapping paper on it or putting paint on it is still a flat thing. So area is always square units. Find the lateral and total area of a regular square pyramid with a base edge of 16 and a slant height, goes right down the middle of one of those sides, of 20. You don't have to draw your figures if you don't want to. I find it to be helpful, but I'm a visual person, so I like to see it. If it doesn't help you and you're not good at drawing or whatever, you don't have to. Lateral area does not need to be memorized. Lateral area for a pyramid is the very bottom formula on the sheet. 1/2 perimeter of the base times the slant height. Perimeter of the base. How do I find that?
16 times 4.
16 times 4. It's a square with each side of 16. So I've got 16 on the front, 16 on the side, 16 on the back, 16 on the other side. Add them all up, 16 times 4. Slant height is 20. And we get 640. And again, I mark up my question so that I know I'm not done with it yet because we still need to find total area. Again, total area as a general rule is lateral plus the area of the base or bases if there's a top and bottom. Lateral area is 640. The area of the base. The base is a square, so how do I find the area of that? 16 squared, or 16 times 16 to find the area of that square. So I can type that in the calculator, and I get 896. Questions on any of these before I scroll for the last problems because we'll lose the writing here.
The TA will always be bigger than that L, right?
Yes, the total area has to be bigger than the lateral because it comes from combining the sides with the top and bottom.
I think it would be within like 500.
There's no way to say.
Why is the area of the base 16 square?
Because the base is a square. The base of the pyramid is a square. So square is length times width or 16
Then
times
perimeter
16.
is just times 4.
Right, because perimeter is adding up around the edges, whereas area is filling in the inside. Emily.
Wait, so how do you find the perimeter of those, like, of
Perimeter of the base is adding up. Guys, I need you to be quiet, please. Perimeter of the base is adding up around the edges of that square, so 16 plus 16 plus 16 plus 16, or 16 times 4.
So we just need to know that, right?
Yes.
Getting a little redundant.
5 times. The last two problems refer to a sphere. I don't usually draw a sphere. I'm a very visual person and I like to see the pictures, but in a sphere there's only one measurement. There's just a radius. So drawing it out doesn't really help me see anything. So I've got area and volume that I'm looking for. And our measurement has a unit. So we're going to make sure we include units here. Area does not need to be memorized. 4 pi r squared will be provided.
The easy one.
That is the easy one.
I don't know that it's any easier than the other one.
We get extra credit if we memorized it?
Nope.
Dick.
It's not.
Okay, 64 pi. I need a unit on this. It's an area, so that is centimeters squared. If you're struggling with how to do this stuff at this point, I hope that at some point in the next a little bit less than 24 hours before we have class tomorrow, you can get the help that you need either from me or somebody else and feel good about it. But if it comes to the quiz tomorrow or test tomorrow and you're sitting down and you're like, I really don't remember how to do this area thing, but I see that there's supposed to be a unit there and I know I'm going to need a centimeter squared on it, at least write that and then you get 1 point, right? Because you knew that you needed units on that. So don't leave something completely blank. Do whatever you can do, even if it's just the units. Now, I really, truly hope you can do more than that, so that you're not only getting 1 point, but you will at least get that point if you do what you can do. If you leave it blank, you get nothing for sure. Try something. Okay? Try something. I don't penalize you for trying.
You can have pi and like centimeters.
Volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. That does need to be memorized.
Yeah. That's volume.
4/3 pi radius of 4 cubed. When you type this in, do not type the divided by 3 in your first run through on your calculator. So do the 4 times the 4 cubed. Okay, don't type the divided by 3 on your first run through. Just do the 4 times the 4 cubed, which gives 256. If that number is divisible by 3, then go ahead and do it. If it's not, then don't.
That's probably why I failed every single sphere.
So when working with spheres, you just do the radius cubed and you multiply it by 4 and put it over 3?
Doesn't matter if it's pi,
Four,
if it's
divided by
cubed,
3,
cube
parentheses
pi or
4.
pi cubed.
Pi is a number, so it should be with your numbers. The unit should be the last thing we see there. I probably would mark you wrong if your pi was at the end of it, but pi is a number, so it should be with your numbers.
It's one number off.
Last one, find the area of a sphere given a volume of 288 pi. Volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So we're going to find our radius. We can begin by dividing both sides by pi, which we'll just get rid of that. How do I get rid of the 4/3?
Multiply by 3.
Multiply by 3/4. Cancels that out. And you have to do it to both sides. When you multiply 3/4 of 288, You get 216
6.
is equal to r cubed. You probably don't know your perfect cube, so you just grab a calculator and guess and check it, and it turns out to be 6. I don't know that, so I would need to grab a calculator and guess and check that. No shame in that. We weren't asked to find radius, though. We were asked to find area. So we now need to take this to our area formula, 4 pi r squared, and plug that radius in. We get 36 times 4, which is 144. And the pi tags along. As a side note, area is not always half a volume. It would be convenient. I appreciate when students look for shortcuts because that's really what math is all about. We want to do things the most efficient way we possibly can. But it's only good to do things that are actually true. And this is not true that the area is always half the volume. It just happens.